Hello everybody, welcome to the 1st of September 30-Minute Mentor. We're going to talk about how you can talk to people that are in your list, that are not in your list, prospects, how you can actually talk to people to convert them from prospects into buyers. Making sales, that's what you need to do to have a business. Business without sales is no business. I'm going to go to a screen share now, but if in the meantime you can just let me know that you can see me and hear me, and you'll be able to see the screen when I switch to screen share. And if you can just type that into the chat box, say you can see and hear or something like that, and then I'll know what's going on. My other computer has been at the computer shop for a week. They couldn't sort it out, and eventually they had to just reload Windows onto it. So at the moment it's chugging away, downloading the files from the computer backup online that I have. Fortunately, everything isn't lost, but there is so much of it. It's been running for 12 hours now, and it's probably 20% complete. So it's going to take a while before I'm properly back in action there. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the screen now. And hopefully now you can see the presentation. Just let me know if you can see the presentation now, please. Yep, okay, that's great. Thanks very much, Tim. Excellent. We can progress. What to say to make sales? I want to tell you now, really, for 99.9% of people, the only thing that stands between you and everything you want in life is fear. And what is fear? Fear is simply false expectations appearing real. Most people spend their lives worrying about what may happen, when in reality it seldom occurs. Molière said people spend most of their lives worrying about things that never happen. It was true then, it's true today. People just worry, they build these things up in their mind, excuse me, and it stops them getting what they want. One of the biggest fears is rejection. Most people fear the idea of rejection, right? You don't want to be rejected. You like to be liked. You like to think that people don't want to reject you. You want to be in their circle. And it's an unrealistic fear, but it's nevertheless what most people suffer from. And it's the reason that salespeople get paid so much, because they face rejection day after day, day after day, day after day, day after day, and most people don't want to do it. And because most people don't want to do it, most people don't make the big incomes. Now, I'm not just talking about don't like the idea of rejection or wish it didn't happen. I'm talking about them hating the idea of rejection. And I know you can get really psyched up to pick up the phone or to chat with somebody on Facebook or whatever it may be, however you're going to get in touch with them. But when the moment comes to actually do it, everything changes. Your heart rate shoots up, your breathing quickens, your eyes dart back and forward, and thoughts of rejection start coming into your mind, and eventually the pressure becomes too much to bear. And most marketers find this state so scary they end up doing nothing. The fact that choosing to just walk away instead of opening that conversation leads to the instant gratification of the nervous feeling going away, and it makes it the most popular option. Oh, wow, I feel better now. But you're going to feel guilty later on. I know I should have done. I know I would have done better if I'd done this. I know if I kept doing it, I'd get over it. But most of the time, and I'm talking about probably 99% of the time, people just walk away. They give up before they've even started. They want to have a business. They're in the people business. Every business is the people business. And they want to have it without communicating with people, in case somebody says, I don't like what you're offering. It's crazy, but it happens. I find this topic fascinating. If I just think about it, I can remember many times in my past where I wanted to talk to prospects, but I just didn't do it. I can also remember feeling terrible for not investing productive time in my business by doing it. Can you relate to that? Let's just look at the difference between actual rejection and the fear of rejection. I think it's important to realize that there's a big difference between actual rejection, which I'm classing as having a prospect who's offended, upset, rude to you when you're starting to talk to them, and the fear of rejection, how you feel when you imagine that person rejecting you. I found that for me personally, my fear of rejection is actually far, far more painful and difficult to deal with than actual rejection in the real world. You see, rejection in the real world isn't really nearly as bad as you imagine it to be. Out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times that I've contacted a prospect, I can't remember any time that a prospect said, don't ever call me again, don't talk to me again, you are a loser. It just has never happened. I know it could possibly have happened to someone, but it's never happened to me. The worst I've had is a prospect saying it's a bad time to speak, or I'm not interested, and hanging up before I could say another word. That's on the phone, of course, hanging up. Usually if you're face to face with people, they say, oh no, look, I'm not interested, that's it, you know. And there's no yelling, there's no cursing or anything like that. There's nobody going to stick a knife in you because you suggested something to them. But here's the kicker. You can experience an intense fear of rejection every time you consider approaching a prospect. I know when I was out on the road selling, I'd plan who I was going to see, whether it was cold calls or calling into shops, whatever it may be. And the important thing, the really important thing was you drive up and you don't sit in your car planning things. You just grab your case or your briefcase or your folders or whatever it is. You get out of the car and you walk in, boom. You don't give fear a chance to attack you. You just do it. Let's imagine something you can predict with almost perfect accuracy. You can be in any situation, anywhere, anytime, and still have fear of rejection. And that'll prevent you from approaching your prospect. It's all in the human mind. but it can only happen if you allow it to. I get asked a lot of times, well, how do I deal with rejection? How do I get over this fear? And the answer is, don't worry about it. If you get rejected, you'll be fine, really. It's not going to last. It's not going to leave scars that can never be removed on you, and nobody's going to get physically aggressive to you just because you offered them something. The worst that's going to happen is they say no. But they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting that offer. But if you sit there and think about it, if you toy with the idea, if you allow that time span before you start talking to people, that fear will set in, and the longer you sit, the bigger it'll build, and it'll stop you dead in your tracks. So the real question is, how do I deal with my fear of rejection? Because if you can overcome your imaginary fear of rejection, you'll be on your way. Some people have a type of fear they might call terror, and that's the people that brood on it. They allow the time thinking about it when they're approaching prospects. And if you're that bad, you might want to take a minute or two to check out some videos covering the subject on YouTube. There are lots and lots and lots of them by some very, very good speakers that handle dealing with fear of rejection. But why do prospects reject you? Let's talk about those rare instances where a prospect actually rejects you. And for the sake of this discussion, I want to define rejection as a prospect doing something that lets you know that they're upset and offended that you called or approached them in the first place. It hardly ever happens. I really can't think of any time that it's happened to me. And I've been in sales and marketing for 50 years. So it's really an unjustified fear. It is false expectations appearing real. But I don't consider a prospect hanging up quickly or saying no thank you as an actual rejection. Yeah, they're rejecting the offer. They're not rejecting me. They don't want the thing, the timing's bad, or whatever it may be. But I found out that there are just a few main reasons why prospects will actually reject you or me or anybody else. And as I say, I'm talking about genuine rejection. And here are the main ones. And number one is probably the most important. You're not setting the stage of their listening. You've got to be in control. You've got to lay out the plan. You've got to set the stage. You've got to explain what's going to happen. And you can do it very simply by asking for help. If you ask people for help, most people will listen to you. I was hoping you could point me in the right direction. This sets the stage for them to open their ears, to listen to the words that are going to follow. You don't have to say it in exactly those words. You can use your own words. You've got to be your own person. Everybody says things in slightly different ways. You say it in a way that comes naturally to you. Other examples might be, I'm not sure if you could help me out. Or, I was calling to see if you can help me out. There's lots and lots of ways of asking for help. Find one that you're comfortable with. The next thing is you've got to learn to model your prospect. You want to speak at the same speed that they're speaking. You want to adopt the same mannerisms. Tony Robbins does some very, very, very good videos on modeling, and they're well worth watching. They're free, they're on YouTube. Just look up Tony Robbins modeling, and there's a lot of them that you can find. But You are speaking to a prospect and they come back to you with very high energy, and you start delivering whatever it is you're saying in a very slow, methodical, low energy method, it can turn them off. Or vice versa. If they are pensive, if they are thinking about something, if they are saying, well, I don't know, maybe I can help you. What is it exactly? And you start going in, well, I've got this new program and it's going to clash. You've got to model your prospect. You've got to be at the same level as them. Because once you hit that level, then you're in sync with them. It's very easy to make a prospect nervous with your tone or your body language. If you start talking and sound like you are canned, or like you're reading from a script, or that you are reciting something, they'll disconnect with you. And they're probably going to say no. I'm sure we've all suffered from people calling us up, these sales calls that we get that we don't really want. We don't invite them. They just seem to get through to us somehow. And before you know it, you can tell that somebody's reading a script out to you. And you're immediately saying, look, I don't want to listen to this. Just go away. And it's going to be the same with you, no matter whether you're face to face, you're on the phone, even if you are coming over in emails or videos or any method of communication. You want it to be natural. You want it to be you speaking to them. You don't like people to read a script to you, so don't do it to them. Memorize a script, but don't recite it like you're reciting some poem on the stage in school or something like that, Make it your own, so it's your own words. You don't have to read it, and it's memorized, but you don't have to chunter it all out all in one go, because you know it so well that you can just talk a little bit, and if they interrupt and come in, you can answer a question and you still know where you left off and you can carry on. There we go. Not understanding your prospect's tonality. I've got a slide in there that needs deleting. Let me do that. Sorry to interrupt there. But here we go. Not understanding your prospect's tonality. When you start talking to a prospect, they'll let you know very quickly if they're open to talking to you. If you pay attention, you'll hear it in their voice, in the way that they're talking, if it's a good time to speak or not. Sometimes it's very, very good to say, I was just looking for a little bit of help. Is this a good time to speak to you? And they can tell you. Say, well, no, not really. I'm busy. Okay. Could you help me some other time? What's the best time for you? Be considerate. More often than not, they'll say, yeah, if it's not going to take too long. Oh, no, it's only going to take a few seconds. Because the good news is the best script is only going to take a few seconds. It's quick and it can be delivered in just a few seconds. So despite the many different situations you'll run into, use a script that's universal to get you the best possible results. And what are the results you're looking for? You're just simply looking to get to a point where you can continue presenting to them. Your goal is simply to get permission to maybe send them an email with information on your business, or if they're not interested in your business, if you've established that in 30 seconds, Maybe they're interested in getting leads for their existing business. You've got to have two approaches. You've got to have something to sell to the people that say no, particularly if you are pitching a business. Because if you're pitching a business, you'll be very lucky if 2% of them say yes. So you want that backup. You want something that everybody needs. If you're pitching a business and they say, no, I'm not interested, okay, no problem. But do you have an existing business? Is that why you're not? Yeah, I'm doing this. Okay. If I could put you in touch with prospects for your business, are you in a position to talk to them? Well, yeah. Okay. And so you can put them down that second avenue. And because you've been helpful to them, you're starting to build a relationship. Now, experience is the best teacher here, as it is with most things. So the more calls you make, the more presentations, the more people you contact, the better you're going to get. If you want to be good at something, you've got to be prepared to be bad at it to start with. As I mentioned earlier, fear of rejection or imagining rejection when you should be imagining success leads to walking away. And you don't want to do that because I can't remember who said it, but I know Bob Proctor quotes this quite a lot. And it says, the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. And this is what fear can do to you. You know what you want. Don't let that false expectation appearing real get in your way. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I think it was Michael Jordan that said that. Ironically, I found that the best way to overcome my own fear of rejection was to see that it wasn't actually going to happen. Don't spend time thinking, just take the action. Know that you're going to get a positive outcome. The more times I approached prospects and started conversations, and the more I saw that people usually responded positively, the less I imagined things going wrong. It's an upward spiral instead of that downward spiral. It leads to positive feedback so that you want to approach more prospects and have more success. You know when a salesman's on a roll, he's really doing well. You know, he's just made a sale. That's the best time for him to make another sale because he's got that good image in his mind. You've got to cultivate that image regardless of what's happening, because if you don't, it'll stop you progressing. It'll stop you moving forward. Here's a few ideas of overcoming your own fear of rejection. Practice saying your script for 30 minutes a day. Write your script out. Get your script. Design it. If you don't have much idea on a script, I'm going to give you a place where you can go and get a script and you can use it. It's designed for telephone, but you can use it anywhere. You can use it on Facebook. You can use it on Twitter. You can use it on people you meet in the street. You can use it parties. You can use it anywhere. You just need to slightly modify it. So you write it out and then you practice it, and practice it in front of a mirror and smile. And when you've practiced it for 30 minutes, contact 20 people today. And then tomorrow, practice saying your script for 30 minutes. And then contact another 20 people tomorrow. And if you're using the phone, if you're worried about actually talking to people live when you start out, search for answer machines. If you're really scared to death of talking to people, do what I did when I first got started. I'd love to leave messages on people's answering machines. And I'd just tell them what I would have said to them if they were there. Well, there's nobody to interrupt. You can just leave the message, ask them to call back. And if they call back, it's a lot more comfortable than you calling them. And this will allow you to practice your script over and over and learn it in a more relaxed situation. Like to a voice messaging system rather than a real person who possibly is going to interrupt you or say, no, I'm not, but you can leave your message. You can just get through it and leave it. And if you actually get to a real person and you're wondering what to do, you can always say, oh, sorry, wrong number, and move on. And if you get into a conversation, you're doing it wrong, because all you're trying to do is just get somebody to allow you to send them information on either your business opportunity or the alternative, which is usually going to be explaining to them where they can get prospects for their business. That's all you want, that permission. So if you're getting into a conversation, you're doing it wrong unless you're a very experienced marketer, and most people aren't. The less you say, the better it is. Think about it. If you're trying to recruit someone, they're going to imagine that they're going to be doing the same as you. So the simpler you keep it, the better chance of making a sale. And a sale in this case is getting them into your business or getting them to accept somewhere where they can get the prospects. A sale is just the end result of this particular part of your business strategy. It's not always an exchange of cash for a commodity. But one of the reasons that the worst possible thing you can do is what some multi-level marketing companies teach, and that's to go around Walmart handing out cards. You give a card to somebody and they look at it and, well, I don't want to be doing this. Or setting up a stall. Now, you might be selling health products, for example, and you have a stall at the marketplace and people come along. Now, you might sell some products. You might sell a lot of products. You might make a lot of money selling products. But most people are not going to join you in business because they don't want to have a market stall. They don't want to spend all day at the market behind a stall in whatever weather it is, and they just don't want to do that. So the simpler you keep it, the better chance you have. And that's why you don't want to be getting into conversations. You just want to be using that little script, and you either get a yes or a no. Can I send you the information then on how you can get more prospects for your business? Or if they are looking for a business, can I send you information on the business that I'm doing? I'm finding it works really well for me. You've got to always set your goals for the contact that you're making. And initially, when you're talking to people, no matter how that contact is being made, all you want is permission to send them an email to either explain your business or explain how and where they can get contacts for their business. And you need those two options because, as I said, most people will not join your business at first contact. You might be lucky and get something like 2% of the people that you speak to that will. But if you start building that relationship with people, if you start helping people, most people are looking for leads. They're looking for ways to find people. If you can show them a way of doing that, you're starting that relationship. And if they get uncomfortable with the business that they're in, you've got that relationship with them. You stay in touch with them, and then you'll find that some people will come back to you. I've had people come back to me 10 years down the road. 10 years on, and say, I've been in touch with you for a long time and listened to lots of things and learnt a few things from you, and I'm ready to start making a change, and I want to get involved in business with you. Now, if you want to know where you can get things to, well, you can get a script. As I say, it's designed for the telephone, but you can easily modify it. It's got some great training with it, and you get 100 leads to practice on, and it'll cost you $15, I think, $15. And what I'll do is I will put a link up for that. Bear with me. It'll probably be one of the best $15 you've ever spent. I'm just looking for a link for you. It's from MLM Recruit on Demand, but you can use it for all sorts of different things. It doesn't need to be used for it doesn't need to be used for MLM. You can use it for CPA offers, anything at all, really. It's the same principle. You just apply it. Here we go. And as I say, you get 100 leads, you get an autoresponder, you get scripts that you can use, modify, you get training. It's really, for a once only $15, the original no-brainer. And there it is, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. I can get back to the chat box. Where are we? I put that in chat, but it doesn't seem to be going. Don't know why. I think it's gone now. Yeah. Okay, so there's a clickable link for you. So any question? Now we've got a question here from Thelma. I want to put my photo in the body of my email. How do I do that? What I would suggest, Thelma, is rather than putting it in the body of your email, I would suggest you add it as a signature. It's nice to have a picture. Something that I've done in the past. I don't do very much currently for lots of different reasons, but it is a good idea. And it depends really on the email system that you're using. But most systems will allow you to add a signature. And that signature can include things like a picture. So you can put in the signature. If you've got any questions, get back to me. I'm always here for you, Thelma Lyles. And or you could have your picture there and Thelma Lyles underneath the picture. Something like that. As I say, it depends. If you're using Outlook, it's one way. If you're using Gmail, it's another way. If you're using some webmail systems, it'll be a different way. But that is the best way to do it, because it'll automatically get put into everything that you send out. And it's a very good practice. It's a very good thing to get added in. Have we got any other questions? If you particularly want it in the body of your email for a particular reason, there are ways of doing that. And once again, it depends on your email client. Sometimes if you copy and paste your picture, it'll go in to the body. Sometimes the email server will take it and add it as an attachment rather than putting it in the body of your email. So it depends on the email service you're using. But yeah, copying and pasting, if you want to put it into there. If you're using an autoresponder, you can usually add a picture in anywhere Once again, depends on the autoresponder and how it works, on how you can do that. If you're using an email service that allows you to use HTML text, you can always write your message in your WordPress site using the WYSIWYG editor. You don't have to publish the page, but you can have it unpublished, and then you can just take the text, set it all up how you want it, using the WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, and then click on the text thing, just copy all the text and add that into your email. So there are lots of ways of doing it. Okay, so that's it. That's my 30 minutes for today. Thank you, Tim, for your appreciation. I hope it's been helpful to everybody. And as I say, the MLM Recruit on Demand is the best $15 you will possibly ever spend if you're serious about promoting your business. Okay, God bless. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week. Be awesome in between time, and just get that script going. Practice it 30 minutes a day in front of a mirror. See that you look relaxed and smiling and happy, and then go out and use it on 20 people. Okay? You will, by this time next week, have started to become one of the top 2% of people